Street name too?
Sure, why not?
No. Jim Cannon, can you tell I'm a veteran from Fulton, New York. I know Maurice, I'm going to promise to keep my language not salty, because her and I have had conversations. This thing is supposed to be about talking about us, so I'll do a little background. 59-year-old white male, no wants or warrants. I currently get Social Security. I'm a retired nurse. I'm a disabled veteran. I also had a small business for 15 years. I was a social worker in the hospital before I became an RN. I worked at in-treatment psych at Oswego for 3 years. I was the director of nursing at a nursing home in Syracuse. I was the director of nursing at the Onondaga County Justice Center. I tell you that because I've worked with about every disadvantaged group there is, between child abuse, people in jail who don't know what they're going to do, which, believe it or not, people in jail get good medical care. I made sure of that. But they also don't know what they're going to do for medication when they go home. I also worked in long-term care long enough to know that 60%, like the other gentleman said, of people in nursing homes are dependent upon Medicaid to pay it. Now, I don't know about you, but if one of my family members lost that, could you afford $100,000 a year? No. I did an estimate. There's probably 600 people in Oswego County that are on Medicaid. That means, or that are in nursing homes. That means 360 of them are on Medicaid statistically. Can you do anything with that? You shouldn't fool with it. You should leave it alone.
That's right.
Okay. And I did some research on Congresswoman Tenney. The one I found the most interesting I want to talk about, but what is an anti-woke caucus? So I did some research on her home area. She's from Onondaga County. There's 45,776 people in that county. According to statistics, 14,241 are on Medicaid. That's 31%. So she wants to take 31% of people in her own home county and take away what they have. Now in Oswego County, it's 28%. Okay? So I don't understand that. So we'll move on. I'm a veteran. So as a veteran, my concern is everybody who's a veteran, thank you for your service, earn their benefits. But what I don't like is people telling me I shouldn't have an opinion. I earned that right. Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Looking at what happened, I worked for 3 years with NATO with nuclear weapons. Okay? I speak 3 languages. The way it looks right now, I could be the guy who's in charge of the Defense Department. That could give you an idea what I think of Congress. Okay? That's what I think of Congress. And the other thing is, one of the things, I've got a sign I made up that says, we don't answer to kings. Congress shouldn't either. So, I'm not going to tell anybody a lie saying I voted for this woman, because I did not. But that doesn't mean she's not my representative. So, if you want to go after stuff, you got to go through us now. But the problem is I don't think people really know what that entails. Okay?
Thank you.
Veteran, simplified. I come here not as a Democrat or Republican, but as a citizen, a voter, and a believer in our democracy. I'm here because voting isn't just a right, it is the last line of defense against tyranny wrapped in red, white, and blue.
That's right.
Once again, Congresswoman Tenney refuses to show. That's not leadership, that's abandonment. She doesn't represent the district. She represents party leadership. That's right. And if a representative won't face her people, listen to them, and answer her for her record, then she needs to go. 19 states allow for the recall of elected officials. New York can too, if we will it. I wish I brought my petitions. I'd have to sign them. If our legislator believes in democracy, then I ask them to do their duty, acknowledge this mechanism, help us implement it and give us the power to remove representatives who have stopped representing. You legislators have the right, as a representative, to recall her and remove her from office. None of the above. We also need to stop choosing between the lesser of two evils. It's time we give voters a real choice by adding none of the above to every ballot. If we reject all these candidates, we reject the system that put them there. Let the people demand better. I put this to you, our state legislators. Do you believe voting is essential to democracy? Then honor it. Stand with the people, sign a recall petition, support none of the above, and stop letting the parties choose for us. Because we are not subjects of a party, we are citizens of a republic.
That's right.
This is not America. This is what I have to say. When you stray from the truth and veer from honesty, the road less traveled becomes congested with the traffic of lies.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael Segretto. My wife Joanna and I wrote a letter recently to Claudia Tenney. This is kind of how the letter came back to us. Basically, what we wrote about was the fact that she has such a busy schedule, as she illustrates, that she nominated Trump twice for a Nobel Peace Prize, wants to do all the documentation for that. And now she wants to have his birthday as a national holiday. We said in the letter, in view of this,
Microphone.
oh, I'm sorry. How's that, all right? In view of that, what are you doing for the 24th Congressional District, specifically Oswego County, where we live? It's a very poor county, so on a day-to-day basis and around the year, what are you doing for us? So this is the letter we received back, and I'll read this to you. It won't take but a minute. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Segretto, thank you for contacting me. I appreciate your views on this matter and always welcome the opportunity to respond to your concerns. We do write to her often. It's a privilege to represent you in Congress, where I will continue to be compassionate, tenacious advocate for New York's 24th Congressional District. As you know, I introduced H.R. 1395, the Trump's Birthday and Flag Day Holiday Establishment Act, which would codify a new federal holiday called Trump's Birthday and Flag Day. On June the 14th, to honor the president's birthday and coincide with Flag Day. President Donald Trump's birthday, which is observed, it'll be observed annually, and recognizes the anniversary of the adoption of the Stars and Stripes as the official U.S. flag in 1777. This is her letter, folks, okay? No modern president has been more pivotal for our country than Donald J. Trump. That's a fact, right? Both the 45th and 47th president of the United States. Well, I could go on, but basically you've got the idea of what this letter consists of, right?
I got the same letter, word for word.
Thanks, Mike. Are you ready?
My name is Alan. Why do we have the war?
Yeah, we're very concerned about concerns to start a war with Greenland, our neighbor to the north, right, and our neighbor to the north, Canada, right here, right? Even the little ones. My name is Jeff Stepien, resident of Oswego County. I'm also an educator, lifelong educator, and my wife's a professor at the college. So the National Oceanographic Institute that we just created the Marine Sanctuary right here. Right, we want to get that going.
And Claudia, I have several questions for you. Claudia, where have you been? Where were you when the signal chat was exposed showing Hegseth, Vance, Rubio, Walsh, and others sharing plans for an attack on Yemen that could have put our military in serious jeopardy? Where were you when Linda Loomer met with Trump and presented him with a list of people that she deemed disloyal and encouraged him to fire all of them, including the head of the NSA and the U.S. Cyber Command, which he did? Where were you, Claudia Tenney, when DOJ was dismantling agencies? Where were you to remind the president that standing up to these organizations rested in Congress?
That's right.
Where were you when sitting members of Congress who were in the right were denied access to the Treasury Department by a single unarmed man and 4 police officers? Where were you when Colonel Susanna Myers was removed from her command, actually she was fired, at the Patuxent Space Base in Greenland after writing an email to her base personnel that distanced the base from some of President or Vice President Vance's comments about Denmark? Where were you when USAID was shut down? Were you there to remind Musk that he didn't have that power, that it rested with you? Where were you when Trump and Vance ambushed our ally in the Oval Office in favor of our adversary, Putin? Congress holds the purse strings, Ms. Tenney. It's time to choose the American people over the people that you represent, the people who hired you to do work for them and not for our administration. Where were you, Claudia Tenney?
Mike Henry, I'm a retired, thank you, a retired teacher of Title I schools, and I just wanted to remind Ms. Tenney of the forgotten ones. Great democracies require friends and allies. We experienced 9/11. NATO comes to our aid, and suddenly we find ourselves needing friends and allies. So these friends and allies come to our aid. Canada, Greenland, and Denmark. 159 fatalities for Canada. 43 fatalities from Denmark. These people fought and died alongside our troops. I just want to be able to tell her that we need our friends and allies more than ever. I've lived in Denmark. I have family in Denmark. They're terrified of Trump. Not Americans, Trump. And I just want to let her know she needs to grow a spine. Shame, shame, shame on you.
My name is Bailey Lovinga. I'm running for District 4, which is Parish and Amboy. Yeah, I'm actually So, Miss Tenney, I'd like to meet, oh, sorry, you're stiff and awkward. She's stiff and awkward. I see a room full of loving, caring, thinking human beings. That's the difference between us and them. We think, we care, we have empathy. They're narcissists. They don't care about anyone but what's in their pockets. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm taking a seat from an 80-year-old man who should be retired 15 years ago because he has done nothing for my district. Miss Tenney, you moved to our district 2 years ago. You're from New Harper. You should be right in office down there, not here. You need to go away, and actually we have a candidate running who's going to make sure she leaves. Let's go. So let's tell you a little bit about myself. This is going to be my fourth job. I'm a really big overachiever. I first am a mom of two. Secondly, I'm a school bus driver in the city. The highest paid union job for bus drivers in the city because our union rep fights for his people. We need union reps in this district, in the lower jobs, the snow plows, the bus drivers, to fight for more pay, to get better drivers. Our plows in my district have one person on a two-man plow, and that's why our roads are garbage. I'm gonna fight to get funding for our district, for our road crews, to improve it for everyone. Because at the end of the day, I'm not here for just me, like them. I'm here for everybody. And perfect example, when I started petitioning, I had a gentleman who was 80 years old dealing with shingles. He couldn't shovel. His pickup was buried under snow. I came back after I was done with Miss Betsy, and I dug his vehicle out so he can go to his appointment the next day. Let's go. And I had worked a 12-hour day already, but that's what people do for people. And Miss Tenney, you want to make June 14th his birthday? I'm sorry, I'm celebrating Manly's Pride. I can't be there. So, I'm sorry. June is Pride, June is Juneteenth. And as Mr. Brown over by the windows, I'll honor one of your great orators, Martin Luther King Jr. Judge me not for the color of skin, but for the content of my character.
Way down. Hi, everybody. My name is Juniper Dunlap. I'm going to be 50 in August. Hi, Betsy. I moved to Upstate New York 6 years ago on purpose. So my husband and I are prior military, right? Everybody asks us, why here? Because we love it here. Mostly because of the people. Definitely not because of the snow. I love the winter. I am also a veteran. I love being in this company. Thank you guys. I was in the Air Force. I grew up an Army brat. I built and maintained F-16 engines. My husband was an ordnance troop for 24 years. Our oldest son served 5 years as a military police officer. I have family in every generation, both sides of my family, all the way back to the American Revolution, not a drafty in the bunch. We take this stuff seriously. I did not volunteer to potentially fight and die for my country to watch these people destroy it. But I'm up here today not to talk to her, because I don't have any interest in that, because she doesn't have any interest in it for us. But I'm bringing you guys a message of hope. I'm afraid. I'm incendiary. I'm so angry. But I want to tell you guys something a few of you heard the other night at the Indivisible meeting in Central Square from me. I grew up in Germany. My dad was in the Army. I lived in West Berlin for the first 5 years of my school life. From kindergarten to almost 4th grade, I was in a German school. They taught us about their history. They didn't lie, they didn't cover up, and they didn't pretend. Because they're ashamed. Germans are nationalistic. I love Germany, it's my second home. But they're very nationalistic as a culture. Americans are individualistic, and this is the hope I bring you. I lived in an Eastern Bloc controlled half of a city from 5 to 10 years old. The Germans are ashamed because they were silent. They wanted so badly what everybody in the US wants right now. They wanted a stable government, they wanted a stable economy, they wanted a car, they wanted food on their table, and they wanted good health care. They wanted to be safe. I know I'm almost done, guys. Sorry, thank you. So they stayed silent because they were just on the other side of that promise. There was hope. And instead of hope, what did they get? They got death. Millions and millions of people died. When I look at this room, at every Indivisible meeting I've been to, at every rally I've been to, what I see is hope. And the reason it makes me hopeful is because we are not silent. Do not be silent. Stand up, stand on your feet, ignore these people until they're out of office. Put them out of office. Vote and do not be silent. Also, I'm running for county legislature. Vote for me, guys.
My name is Sharon Dellinger. I've never spoken into a microphone before. I live in Fulton, and I'm just basically generally annoyed about everything, but that's my normal state, so really, this is just normal for me. I'm like, oh, okay, this is just Tuesday. Anyway, I'm going to keep this very short and sweet. To quote Ms. Tenney's favorite oligarch, Claudia Tenney, "You're fired!"
Hi, so my name is Chance Kennedy, and a little bit about me before I get into the Tenney crap. I am a lifelong Oswego County resident, and I currently work at Upstate with the immigrant population, specifically asylum seekers and refugees, and I'm also running for Oswego City Common Council.
Yay!
So the thing is, like, I see, especially after January 20th, the absolute fear of our patients that come in to our clinic and just how afraid they are, what's going to happen to them, because they have visas, they have their papers, but they don't have, their green card. They don't have their more like permanent status. And so for anybody that's been living under a rock, anytime that anybody gets picked up.
People in line to speak, if you can tighten it up just a little bit. We may hold the applause a little bit, but we'll just try to get through everybody as best we can. So thank you very much.
I was given a letter and asked to read it to you. So Representative Tenney, President Trump is failing America. Meanwhile, the GOP-dominated House and Senate are missing in action. If anything, as when the House Speaker mused that Congress could eliminate troublesome federal courts, you're encouraging his most reckless inclinations. He's failing us on the international stage by not being able to distinguish allies from enemies and by squandering American soft power. And this is from the person who wrote the letter. Now, I lived through the darkest days of the Cold War, and I followed the Ukraine invasion from the beginning. No amount of gaslighting can fool me into thinking that NATO and our European allies are parasites, or that Zelensky is a warmonger and Putin an innocent. Nor can I be fooled into thinking that Canada is the renegade 51st state, or that a hostile takeover of Greenland or the Panama Canal is anything except naked aggression. Yes. We know better. How can the President of the United States, the leader of the free world, not know better? He's failing us on the national stage by defunding and skeletonizing critical government agencies, those that fight corruption and protect democracy at home. those that ensure fair and free elections, those that protect public health and safety, and those that address systemic inequality, America's ongoing and original sin. His unrelenting scorched earth attacks on transgender Americans are especially disgusting to me. He acts like a schoolyard bully. Nothing more, nothing less. Clearly, Social Security and Medicare, upon which my spouse, who is recovering from cancer, and I depend, along with Medicaid, are next on the chopping block. Why aren't the GOP-controlled House and Senate, to which the Constitution gives sole lawmaking authority and the power of the purse, intervening? Instead, you're looking the other way. More likely, you're complicit, and I think I'm getting cut off. Thank you.
My name is Mike Shaver. I live in Minetto, and we all know that every day or every week you have to submit 5 things that you have done during the week. And I just want to know, Claudia, what are the 5 things you have done for us? You did vote for the SAVE Act, which suppresses people's voting rights. Oh, very good, there's one. You also voted for a budget that will give massive tax breaks for billionaires at the expense of cutting programs like Medicaid, Social Security, and the food programs that we've already heard about. And it provides valuable service to, Medicaid, that provide valuable service to so many people in your district. So there we go. That's what you've done for us. Nothing. Right. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Barbara Camerance, and I'm a resident of Palermo. Anybody from Palermo? You know where all the snow was? All right. Congresswoman Tenney, you've heard from me and my husband, both with phone calls and with letters. Why have you, as a female, repeatedly voted against women's reproductive rights? You say you have a position of pro-life. Does that include the life of the mother? What would you say, Congresswoman, to a person, a very good friend of mine, who survived the Holocaust as a child, a Jew from Austria? What would you say to my friend Ilse Ehrenstein, who sees the signs of fascism in this country? What would you say to her? As a retired teacher of special needs kids that is funded through the Department of Education with the IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Act, are you going to support the end of the Federal Department of Education, which provides for these students? And are you going to vote against? Are you going to vote for the repeal of the IDEA? Please, let it not be so. I saw what institutionalization of my kids, would have been my kids, what it can do in the state of Illinois, where I'm originally from. And lastly, my friends, my husband is a disabled vet. 3 generations in the military. His grandfather in World War I, his father in World War II for the duration, and my husband 4 years and 2 months during Vietnam. They gave to this country. My husband and my late father-in-law, Ukrainian Americans. Some Ukraine!
Watson, and I think I'm here like everyone else because things are not okay.
Microphone.
Come up to closer.
There we go.
Claudia Tenney thinks that President Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. I think that's not okay. He thinks that he can grab women wherever he wants. Ladies in the crowd, that's not okay. He thinks that veterans are losers and suckers. Are there veterans in the crowd? That is not okay. January 6th was not a love fest. It was a insurrection. Thank you. Not okay. Her being AWOL, Claudia, that is not okay. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Larry O'Brien. I'm from Oswego. And unlike fine wine that mellows with age, I'm getting crotchety. So, I'll cut to the chase with you, my dear. I understand Elon has a artificial intelligence. It's called Grok 3.0. I think he should be the first one to replace you if we're going to get into artificial intelligence. And I've called her and I've tried to go on into the office, and I'll just cut to the chase, resign. Okay? I spent 9 years in West Virginia, and I used to go into McDonald's down there to have my coffee, and I was always open and honest with people, and I got to be the liberal. And all these guys would come up to me and argue with me, and most of them didn't have a fact in their brain. And that's the problem. That's the problem that we face. And so I'm actually, I know there's a fellow out here, I don't know where Brad is, but my point in coming up here and speaking was, I'm not sure who's going to be running against her, but I think that it should come from, people. We should get more candidates, that have interest. And I have no idea what a congressperson does, but I think Brad Broadwell, if he's around here, I know he's talked to them. But we should have a steering committee of people that, that we would vet. I'm not, I'm great with the Democrats, that's fine, but I'm not going to take whatever comes out of the pipe on a Democratic Party power base. I think it should be people reaching out to people who know interest, and actually vet these people, and not have it come from the Democratic Party. Even though they're great people, Marie, I love you. But yeah, that's my point. She's got to go, and we got to get rid of all this misinformation, and we need to have better. And it comes from you all, okay?
Hello, Oswego. My name is Matt Gordon. I've been living here with me and my family since 2011 after I got out of the Marine Corps. I just got one question for Claudia. I've asked you privately numerous times, but since you want to ignore me, I guess I'll make it public now. The silence that you have shown in regards to 83,000 employees being fired from the VA speaks to me about the veteran suicide rate, which currently sits at around 22, and that's a low number. That's a low number, low estimate. About 22 veterans a day are killing themselves because we don't feel adequately supported as it is, and your answer is to cut 83,000 people from our care. So my question, Claudia, my question to you, I've asked it privately and you've ignored it, so now we'll do it publicly. Why is 22 of us killing ourselves every single day too low of a number for you?
Kelly LaRock, and I'd like to speak to Claudia. So Claudia, look at us sisters today, both dressed in black, almost like your weight. Well, today I hope you hear everybody loud and clear. A lot of the statements I was going to make have already been made, and I think what you need to know is that you have woken something up in this community. People are not going to sit back and accept your lack of communication, your lack of representation. We're here today to represent ourselves, and we're going to keep on doing it because you're not doing it at all. So today, it's not your wake, it's your performance review, and you are failing.
Okay, I'm a little nervous. My name is Patty Graham, and I just moved here about a year ago. I went to college here, and I am so happy to be here. I feel like I found my tribe. So, yeah. And I'm going to try so hard not to get emotional. All you veterans in this room, and there are veterans in my family, and you all fought for this beautiful flag. Is it not beautiful? Yeah. All right, thanks so much for that. The point I want to make today is I have a friend this past 4th of July. I was all excited about hanging a flag up. And I'm like, you're gonna hang a flag up, right? And she didn't, and she wouldn't. Because she was so afraid that someone would think that she was a Trumper, that she was a Republican. And I was on the bridge today, and the flag lady, if you're here, bless you, I got to carry the biggest American flag on that bridge today, and I was so proud to do it. And I'm going to be doing it every Saturday. So my question and request for everybody is, please, this is our flag. This is not Trump's flag. It's not the Republicans. It's for the United States of America. So please, everybody, hang this flag, carry this flag proudly, because so many people have given their lives and will continue to do that. I'm sorry. Anyway, so that's what I'm saying. So it's our flag, right? So let's hear it for our flag and everybody who fought for it. Thank you very much.
It's so nice to finally get to meet you. And I'm just so happy to meet this cardboard cutout of what you would be if you were here. I'm Barbara McCleary. I live in the city of Oswego, but I'm a lifetime resident of New York State, and you have to be the worst representative I think I've ever. Love it. I'm the proud niece of 3 uncles who all served in the Pacific Theater during World War II. And one of them actually left his lung there and lived with one lung for the rest of his life. I'm the proud aunt of 2 nieces, both West Point graduates. One who is still in active duty, served in Afghanistan, and just became a major in the United States Army. And this topic has been touched on a couple of times already by like-minded individuals, and it seems like a small thing compared to the really big stuff that's going on. But my question for you, and you don't mind if I call you Claudia, right? Because I feel like we're friends now. Why would a U.S. representative want to make the birthday of Donald Trump, a convicted felon and self-acknowledged sexual predator, an American national holiday, and then link it to the day set aside for Americans to honor their flag? I am so totally perplexed by that, but if you could give me an answer to that, I'm not going to give you my number because I don't want you to have it, but I would really like to know that. Thanks, and have you been working out? Because you look really thin.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. Virginia Del Busto Cohen, and I am a clinical specialist in psychiatric mental health. I'm also a retired professor and a psychotherapist. I am not going to address Claudia.
Microphone.
I am addressing you.
Microphone. Microphone up.
Oh, I'm addressing you because I want your hearts. I want you to know that this administration has dishonored our military. I function as a psychotherapist at Fort Drum for 4 years. I witnessed their bravery and their suffering. This administration denigrates and dishonors our military. And as Americans, we need to stand up against that.
Yes.
We need to demand that our president honor our military. 4 service members died in Lithuania. The Lithuanian people lined the streets, including the Lithuanian president. Our president was not there. I have been witness, and some of my own sacred military patients have died as a result of suicide. I know that pain, and I know the pain of losing these kids. They're my kids. They're my sons and daughters. And I really am offended, personally offended, when he calls my sons and daughters losers. So I urge you today to stand up and fight. Fight this administration. Fight with all your might. Fight with all your might, because I come from an autocratic government. And once you lose your freedom, you don't get it back. So today I'm speaking because I am inspired after 4 years of seeing people who truly put on a uniform and fought and didn't ask any questions on their behalf. I am asking you to fight and not stop until we have attained our freedom. Thank you.
Here in Oswego, and I am not good at public speaking, so bear with me, okay? While we were sitting here today gathered, waiting for Claudia, who is not here, she sent out a newsletter. And I figured I would go over that with you guys because it's really important. So, she started it off by saying that they're advancing the budget framework to pave the way for the tax cuts. Yeah, right? So she said that they are working on a new bill, which she described as one big, beautiful bill. Sound like anyone else we know? Yeah, not original. And then she went on to say that they are taking decisive steps towards fulfilling our promises and advancing Trump's America First agenda. Did we vote for that? No. Claudia, where are you? Then she went on to talk about how she supports the SAVE Act. Did we vote on that? No. So my message here is for the women that are married, get your passport if you don't already have it. Because your birth certificate, that will not work. And then, in her email, she posted a picture of herself saying that she's fighting for New York 24. Yes. Where? Because that's not her. You know, and then she went on to talk about how, as your representative in Congress, my top priority is championing legislative initiatives that benefit you and your families. Where? And then, you know, at the bottom, absolute bottom, we have, thank you to ICE for removing 133 illegal immigrants from upstate New York. And you know what she said next? That Trump is on the right track, and then blamed Biden for letting dangerous illegals wander our streets. We all knew it had come back to Biden, right? We all knew it would come back to Biden. And at the absolute end, she talks about how there is a art contest that's going on for the congressional art contest. I say we all send in some art. That is it. That was her newsletter from today while we were sitting in this room waiting for her to show up. Thank you.
I'm it. I'm done. You're done. My name is Colette Badger. I am a lifelong resident of Oswego, except for the beautiful 8 years I spent in the mountains of North Carolina. I'm a registered nurse and have been for over 45 years. I'm a mom, I'm a grandma, I'm a wife. I love my country, and I always have. And I think it really came back to me when I was only 18 years old, and I went with the German club to Germany, and we saw East Germany on that trip. We saw the barriers. We saw the guys with the guns pointed down. And at that moment, I was like, I live in the best country in the world. I mean, I would cry at the Star-Spangled Banner. That's how much I loved my country. But my country has broken my heart. I feel like we're being let down daily by the legislative branch of this government. Yeah. You know the executive branch and that craziness. And we know that the judicial branch has been stacked against us. So it's up to the legislative branch to do something. Everything that Trump does is illegal. Those tariffs are illegal. That's supposed to be voted on by Congress, by the legislative branch. He is a cancer in this country that is totally out of control, and nobody is giving him chemo. Nobody is holding that person responsible. All those executive orders, they're mostly illegal. Almost everything he does is illegal. Letting insurrectionists go and calling them hostages to the country. We've got to stand up and we've got to make our legislative branch listen and do their stinking job. I hope that wasn't protect the democracy that so many have fought for. From my 27-year-old nephew who served in Iraq and has such horrors and has attempted suicide. For all of those guys in the Pacific Theater and everywhere, stand up for this country and this democracy and make Congress do its stinking job.
Thank you. Hi, Christopher True here. I live here in Oswego. I'm coming here actually, I know we've been hearing a lot of bad things today, but I'm here with a message of hope, okay? I am a volunteer at Indivisible OC. This is what I chose to do with my rage, and it feels good. I'm calling people all week long, and they hate it. If it makes you feel any better, they hate it. They have to take my call, and I can hear it sometimes when I get a volunteer or whoever's working in the office. Oh, it's him again. They hate it. So for those of you who are here that are in Indivisible OC, keep up the good work. For those of you, if this is your first meeting, join us. Let's get out there, make some calls, get on that bridge, postcards. What else are we doing? We're doing a bunch of stuff, right?
Run for office.
Run for office.
Petition to recall.
Petition to recall. Postcards, whatever you can. Find out how to join us, get on a team, you'll feel better. Thanks.
Hey everyone, thanks. So my name is Erin Fiorini, and last week, 3 kids and their mom got to go home. And that happened because of all y'all, and people from around in the community and the attention that it got. So this was people power, literally, because it will only, those types of changes will only happen because of us. And I want to also congratulate, when I came around the corner, I was a little late, and I came over here. I was behind this wall, and I heard all this clapping as soon as I got here, and I was so excited. at the amount of people that showed up on one of our first okay weather days on a midday Saturday. And also, I also want to thank all the people who showed up on a really cold Tuesday evening, on a windy, cold Tuesday evening this last Tuesday, to also to protect against the collusion between local law enforcement and our ICE and immigration enforcement. So this is, just unnecessary. They're taking resources from us once again, and just to keep it more on track. And so this was really a project of the people, both of these instances, and they were in her district, both of them. So I really appreciate also the gal who read the letter. So we can and will, I think, diminish and stop these ICE raids, and I also echo the guy who just spoke here. It really is about the disruption.
Yes.
So they can be the small things, they can be these big things that we do and we get together or we run for office, but it can also be the 5 or 10 minutes that you call someone. Thanks.
Okay, this is going to be a good test in whether or not I can be brief, because it's not my strong suit, okay? So my name is Kate, my last name is Winter, just like the season that we're all super sick of. I want to thank, because I have so much admiration for the Oswego Indivisible group that has really been a main driver to what I do. My wife and I started, so if there's anyone here who resides in or around the North Shore of Oswego County, I live in West Monroe. At the very end of February, we started the North Shore Invisible Group. So anyone can find us. And you're welcome to join. We need boots on the ground and ones that hold signs and not lick. I am not a paid protester. I was also taught, because at a young age, I grew up as I bussed tables. I waited tables. I had a paper route, and it was a Monday through Saturday paper route, and it was in the morning. And I remember the ladies that would invite me in for cookies and cocoa because it was cold. And I saved my money because my mother passed when I was 3, and my grandmother, after raising 8 children of her own, took myself, my 6-month-old baby brother, and my 5-year-old older brother and raised us. She was not a milk and cookies grandmother, but I realized later in life how much she taught me. So, that said, I was always taught to tip your bartenders and tip your wait staff, and we don't tip people here, but Oswego Indivisible, if you've got a few bucks or any change in your pocket, there's a donation basket over there. And this has been amazing, and it doesn't happen without help. So remember that, if you would. And the last thing I want to say is, look what Kamala Harris accomplished in 3 or 4 short months. Look what she did in 3 or 4 short months. So, to this one, I think we ought to turn over every rock and talk to everyone we know. And it's not about how smart you are or what education you have, but she can either put up, suit up, show up, or in 11 months, we will find someone to shut her up. And for 2 seconds, I just want her to know what it feels like to not be heard and to not be seen.
She doesn't need to know who I am, that's fine. My name is Monica. I live here in the city of Oswego. I have moved around to many different places, and I couldn't leave without speaking. I didn't plan to, but being that it looks like I'm the only woman of color Latina here, I would feel remiss if I didn't say I have been dizzy with all of the things that have been happening in our country, and it hurts my soul. As a Latina, I have been asked many times if I have my green card. For the record, I am Puerto Rican. I am an American citizen. I was born in California. And yet, I now find myself scared to walk around in public. I always carry my ID with me just in case. I have my location on and shared with friends in case I need help. I have been asked, I used to work at a bank here in the city. Some of you might recognize me. I have been asked by another bank, because I was opening an account. The man stopped me in the middle of the lobby and asked me if I was a citizen. And I, in the moment, didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I panicked. And I said, "Excuse me?" And he says, "Are you a citizen?" And I said, "Yes, yeah." And he goes, "Okay." And as a person who's worked at a bank before, you know, even if you're not a citizen, usually people that come in, if they're not, they have a number. They have I think it's called a TIN number. They give to you. If they don't have the paperwork, we have the paperwork for them to sign and fill out so they can open an account. That man should not have stopped me in the middle of the bank in public to ask me if I was a citizen. And with that, I've known illegals. I've known the great Mexican people. One of them has gone missing. We don't know where he is. It's been 9 years. We expect the worst. And so with that being said, shame on this administration for making people scared, for making people like me scared to go about my daily life. I was never scared before, and now I am. Shame on trying to silence us, silence the immigrants and making them scared to get basic medical needs, to not be able to walk around the streets, to be scared to go to the grocery store to buy food and asking their neighbors to get stuff for them. It's awful. There's many other things I would love to speak about. Obviously don't have time, but thank you all for coming. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for allowing me the time to speak. And I hope that we can do better. And we will do better. Thank you.
She's not welcoming. We know she doesn't care about us. It is amazing to see all of you people and to hear your stories. My story's not nearly as interesting as some of you have, but I am beside myself with outrage and fear. I'm worried about my grandchildren. I want a decent place for them, and I want a future for them. I grew up in a family of 8 children. I was born during World War II. It was not a smart move on my parents, but here I am. And I have a brother and a sister who fled the Soviets, and they fled the Germans. So it's very real to me about our position in the world and what's happening to the view of this country. Your stories have been remarkable, and there was one word that just made me stand up and come up here now, and that is the word is trust. When in this God-forsaken world is anybody going to trust this country again after what you have done and what you're supporting? When are we ever going to be able to trust our government? There's been problems a long time, really. You know, if you've lived long enough, you know we don't always hear the whole truth. But good grief, what's happening now is beyond the pale. Nobody, our friends, our allies, can ever trust us again, certainly not in my lifetime, and I don't think in my children's children's lifetime. And that's what really frightens me. How do you function in society if you can't trust your neighbor, trust your family, trust your community? So give us back trust and talk to us, you fool.
How's that? Yes, 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 yes. That is what democracy looks like. You are what democracy looks like. We are what democracy looks like.